everybody. This is We Be Trollin, episode 4, A New Hope. And this just in. I've just been teabagged. Well, I got a teabag in my face. Oh, it's gone. Anyways, today we're going to talk about the Avengers. Yeah, it's a little late, but 3 out of the 4 of us finally saw it. We're going to give our impressions of that, and teabagging. We're playing with teabags. I hope my niece never sees this. Anyways, well, so the big news in movies is Blade Runner's getting a sequel. Yeah, that's gonna live in infamy, isn't it? Blade Runner's getting a sequel, and so is Sin City 2. The name for it is A Dame to Die For. I think so. A Dame to Kill For, sorry. For games, we're going to be discussing a little game called Error 47. I mean Diablo 3 and the problems that it had in its first week. Vlad is going to talk about id Software's Rage. What platform?
PlayStation 3.
PS3, okay.
I wish I'd be playing it on PC, of course, but...
Of course, because it is a superior platform. What? It is!
Well,
if you have the money for it, yeah.
I mean, yeah, look, because it looks awesome. It's just like, that's the bad part, like, you know, it's...
Or,
just imagine thinking, playing
well,
it.
if you either if you have the money for it, or if you basically... Never mind. Selling as for PCs. Anyways, and this one, well, pissed off Sergeant Fuzzy Boots. Microsoft just killing the Xbox more and more with what was it?
They're gonna put Internet Explorer on their Xbox.
Internet Explorer on the Xbox. Well, we'll get to it when we get to it. So for now, these giggly bitches and I are gonna move on to the Avengers. Okay, movie news. Okay, it's not so much news, but 3 out of the 4 of us finally saw the Avengers, and we're gonna go ahead and talk about our opinions and stuff. Yeah, he's broke. So.
Well, I mean,
If you have a single bad thing to say about this movie, I will shoot you in the face with my spooge.
Interesting. Well, I mean, there's not a lot bad to say about the movie. I mean, it was a very good movie. I liked it. It had a very good comic book flow to it.
Like my spooge.
I also like the fact that they didn't focus on any one character.
It should have been a Hulk movie.
I mean, what I liked was that every scene that showed a character, the character was never alone. They always had another character with that character. Like it was either on screen talking or interacting with each other. You could have been Iron Man with the Incredible Hulk, or it could have been Incredible Hulk with Thor, or it could have been Black Widow with Iron Man. It was never one character alone. There was seldomly a scene where a character was just alone.
The Joss Whedon ensemble cast thing, basically. He's always been known to be good with that. I mean, the guy did Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV show, so I mean, I would imagine he's gotten really, really good at that since then. Although I know you've never been a fan of the show. I mean, you could totally see how that comes through.
Not a fan of Buffy yet?
Not really. I was never a big fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I didn't like was it Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Yeah.
And
For Christy Swanson, basically.
The Christy Swanson.
You saw it in 3D though. How was that? What was that like?
Well, the 3D, it wasn't any eye-popping 3D with any effects popping out like Captain America's shield. Remember that type of in the Captain America movie? I don't remember in 3D like the shield just flies out.
Yeah,
it wasn't any type of pop-out scenes like that. It was just more depth to the environments, and some of the characters looked like they were a little bit more popping out into the foreground, but not too much. And it was only in scenes where you see those scenes, those chase scenes where there's a lot of fast moving where it looked like the actual what were those things that those creatures were flying? I don't know what you call them, like little crafts that they commandeered and started flying with.
Yeah,
That looked like it was kind of popping out at you with you in the screen, kind of. I mean, out of the screen, and that looked pretty good. And the other noticeable thing was just when they would show the first person perspective of Iron Man, you would see all the blue, crazy menus and all.
Yeah,
that.
like it's the HUD.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that was only it, but other than that, that's all it was.
I don't think they ever mentioned too much about that alien species. I don't think they ever mentioned a lot, having to do with that. But it was very good. It had its share of comedy. It had its share of not a lot of drama, but it had its share of small little drama scenes. In
Like
there.
mostly like the biggest probably between Black Widow and Hawkeye.
Yeah, I think that would be the biggest thing.
Sorry, I'm not even gonna bring that up.
I know, I know where you're getting at. But I think that's one thing I don't want to.
It
We don't want
was,
to ruin for you because that is an interesting piece of the
The way
storyline that I myself was not expecting.
I wasn't expecting it.
I
either.
was not expecting it.
And the way it was handled, I thought it was handled really, really well.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
okay,
was-
but
it
the
was
scene
done-
where
it
the
was
scene
done.
we're talking about is which scene now?
It involves Loki, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's all we're gonna say.
So it's if we're talking about the same scene, it was it involves the guy carrying the cards.
Yes, the guy that carries the cards.
That one. So, for those who have seen it, you
The way
probably
that
know what
the
we're
way
talking
that it got
about.
handled,
So,
that was pretty good. It wasn't too heavy-handed, but at the same time, I don't know. They just struck a really good balance. They didn't like dwell on it for too much, but it was just enough for you to like, okay, this works.
My one gripe with it, and it was unfortunate because of all of them, it is my favorite character, and that's the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
And my one gripe with it, like really true gripe, that I didn't even have to overanalyze the film. I didn't get it from the beginning, from the start, was the Incredible Hulk's first transformation.
The provocation.
Yeah, I didn't see it. For one, I didn't see it, why he was transforming. Another was that when he transformed, he was just totally out of control, very, very chaotic. He went after Black Widow like he wanted to just basically smash her to bits. And
then you see that he was very in control of it later on.
Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly.
And then when you look back at the Incredible Hulk movie, where you see Bruce Banner, he just like his eyes turn green, and he smiles.
Mhm.
Like right off, it's like he's in control
He's
of
in
it.
control, exactly. And that was the thing that we were talking about when I had seen it, was the fact that since the Avengers movie is bringing in all the other movies, all the smaller pieces, which is the Incredible Hulk, Thor,
Nothing smaller
Captain
than the
America.
Incredible Hulk. Sorry.
Right.
And
It's bringing all those characters together, and it's bringing the storylines of those movies together. Then those who saw the Incredible Hulk know that Banner's already in control
Yeah.
of the Hulk. So the build up to that first transformation, to me, was just, I don't think it was worked into the movie very well.
Yeah, like, I think it was maybe like written a certain way because remember, like they needed.
That's
to
not
have
to
him
say it didn't look
transform.
awesome.
Because remember they needed to have him transform. So I think that was kind of more of a maybe it could have been like an issue with the story, the way they wrote it.
Yeah.
They didn't think afterwards maybe how it was gonna really affect
The continuity of the
Yeah,
storyline.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I think was
Well-
most probably.
What I did like, well, I mean, nothing else. It was definitely awesome.
It was awesome. It was a really good movie. It's one of those that I would love to see in 3D, but on IMAX rather
In
than
IMAX, we saw Thor in IMAX in 3D when it first came out, and the IMAX for 3D that actually really did make a
They
huge
did show
difference.
it, because we saw Thor in 3D on regular theater. I think it was a digital projection. I think it was, but it really didn't do it justice at all. The 3D was not eye popping. It was not there. But when we saw it in IMAX, I mean, the 3D was prominent. It was there. I
Yeah.
mean, any little thing that you saw out of the corner of your eye, it was in 3D, and it was awesome. It was really, really good. So rather than to see the Avengers in 3D on just either regular digital projection or just regular screen, I think it's not going to do it justice as
Yeah.
you know, as to watching it in IMAX. I think
Yeah,
that would be a
IMAX
lot better.
it has to be the way to go because I mean there's no substitute for that. I mean,
Nah.
Unfortunately for us, we have to travel 2.5 miles.
Yes, 2.5 miles.
2.5 miles.
2.5 hours to go see it.
Yeah,
To go see
that's
it.
It's
to
so
get the
worth
closest
it.
IMAX.
Yeah.
So that kind of does suck, but I think it's worth the trip. you
Yes.
know. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to The Hobbit, and we'll see what happens then.
I'll just wait for the dollar movie on that one.
no.
But overall, I recommend.
Yeah, I can't recommend it enough because it just feels when you watch it, you kind of just feel like a kid again, in a way, because you just feel like you have that sense of wonder and amazement that it's still as jaded as we are, as much as we bitch about stuff. When something is so well done and it flows so well, and you see all the characters just interacting with each other and at the same time having their own little small battles within each other, like we talked about.
Yeah,
That
that's
how
true.
they have, they're trying to figure out what to do, and then sometimes it just takes out chaos, and then someone else, or another third party to tell them, hey, what are you doing?
Well, I mean,
let's stick
that's-
together and take care of what we need to take care
I
of.
like the way they actually use the Hulk for that, because anytime you think about the Hulk, you think about all the angst and all this other crap.
Yeah.
But in this movie where it's like Hulk, smash, and he's got this huge grin on his face.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I mean, considering the way the characters progressed from the previous movie to this one, I mean, you can kind of see, all that stuff that's there that I won't go into. But like the movie just didn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah.
It was incredible Hulk, no doubt. I just for me all my favorite things involve the Hulk.
Yeah. I mean, Incredible Hulk is my favorite.
Mine
my
too.
favorite character. It's been my favorite comic book character of all time. Before I actually got into Spawn, but that's a whole other story. As a kid, I mean, I would watch the show with Bill Bixby. I would read the comic books.
show.
I mean, it's just awesome.
Had a lot of heart back in the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot.
Loved
And I saw even those Incredible Hulk cheesy movies that they made.
Yeah, the TV movies
Yeah, the
and
TV movies. I mean, those are pretty cool. I think
Respectable.
my favorite one was the one where they had Thor.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that one,
Yeah.
and that was the
Yeah.
death of the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
It's my favorite one. Kind of sucked, Incredible Hulk died, but that happens. But that's what I meant. That this movie had a very good comic book flow to it because comic books of old, every time you would get characters that would go into another character's comic book, such as Thor jumping into Incredible Hulk's comic book, or Incredible Hulk jumping into Amazing Spider-Man's comic book, for whatever crossover storyline they were going to have. But what happened is that they would always fight each other for some reason because they didn't know each other, so they always thought that each one was the bad guy. And that's kind of what happened in the Avengers movie. Thor was fighting
That's
Iron
right.
Man, and because they didn't know Thor, they hadn't seen Thor before, and for someone to like put that into the movie and play it that way, kind of like, I don't know, yeah, it brings you back to when you were a kid, when you're reading that comic book and you're like, whoa, Thor's in like, Captain America's comic book, and all of a sudden he's like fighting, he's like, why is that? Until somebody steps up and
Wait,
reason.
yeah.
And that's exactly what happened in the movie as well, and it just happened that way, and I don't know, it just had that really nice comic book flow to it, except it wasn't a movie.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it was good. I liked it.
And every sequence just set itself up for the next one. Very, very little filler. Like I'm always against filler because there's no reason to stop something from flowing so well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you keep the momentum going, you keep the momentum, and you don't You know, because what does the audience not want to do? You don't want to just be like, okay, come on, get to the next scene. You know,
Exactly, and then. And I've had plenty of those movies where you just sit there and you're like, oh my god, when is this gonna end? When is it gonna get to the good parts? Things like that. The Immortals.
Slow and build up and what the hell?
Yeah, it's
Some
so
people talk
build
about
up.
porn.
But you know,
with a good payoff.
Yeah.
for those who haven't seen it, and in case you have seen it but you haven't stayed till the end, I recommend staying all the way to the end. All the way to the end. To the end credits.
So how
all
about
the
that
way.
shawarma?
Yeah, quite tasty.
Shawarma's tasty.
It was you had a lot for words, you know. You're chowing that down. But yeah, so don't forget, audience, 2 post-credit scenes. You know.
Yeah, like that's always worth. I remember we did that with Thor. We were just about to leave, and then like we turned back, and then we saw like the post-credit scene.
Yeah,
we knew we should have stayed in our seats, but we're like already getting, you know, out and all that, and it's like. You always know, it's like the Phantom Menace, you hear the breathing at the end.
That's true.
And of course, for me, everything comes back to Star Wars. Moving on, in sequel news, I have seen things that you wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I'm surprised I haven't gotten slapped yet, but I'll continue until it, no? Damn it, nobody hit me. Well, anyways, if you don't know what that's from, you deserve to be slapped. Blade Runner, that's...
No, classic.
Yeah,
You
classic.
You can never go wrong with Blade Runner.
Yeah.
I mean,
This has been a long time coming that there's going to be a Blade Runner sequel. But a lot of things have been, coming to light. There's going the original writer for the film, for Blade Runner, is coming back for the sequel. Obviously, Ridley Scott is going to be directing, and some new tidbits include there's going to be a female protagonist, I believe. Female protagonist, and what else? I know you have it written down. It's like in terms of continuity, it's going to be like a couple
It's
years
going to be
after.
said years later. They haven't really said too much as to
This is from
how
like
many
the
years
press
later.
release he did, right?
I believe so.
it was an
Yes.
official press release, but you know how those always go. They're very bare bones.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
try
that's true.
and paint it.
But
Yeah, I mean, Blade Runner. I mean, you know, that's just a classic early '80s movie that anybody that watches it, it always leaves you, just dumbfounded, like, man. And,
it's kind of like it's a really good movie, but it leaves you like, what the hell did I just watch?
Exactly. It's kind of trippy, but it's like one of those movies that when it comes out, at the time that it's released, it kind of just like smashes your conceptions of what a film can really project towards you, because it projects it's trying to convey a lot of different messages in the movie.
Yeah, and what I found, I don't. It's kind of hard. It's kind of a hard thing to put into words, because I mean I was actually pretty young when I first saw this movie, so like I didn't get everything, but still just like watching. Yeah, exactly. Just watching it, just the imagery alone, just like leaves you like with your jaw on the floor.
Yeah, because I mean it is trying to overall as a message is like what really is human.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the whole message really is, and it's very. When you're younger, when you watch it, you were amazed, by just the look of everything, the flying the cars, and then all that stuff that we didn't think we'd see, even in special effects.
And even then, I mean the miniature effects on that was just incredible. But onto this sequel. I mean, I'd say it's actually looking pretty good.
Yes,
If like these many people were committing.
Yeah, because you have Ridley Scott very well directing. Very well pushing when it's a female protagonist, pushing them to their limit in order to portray the person that you want to have, that strong person that can feel. How how it was back in the day when the first Alien film came out, there was no real women that were in the female lead. Well, I'm just thing in that time frame.
Alien came out when.
Well, it was 79, I think, 78, 79.
Yeah, so Princess Leia predates it. Thank you very much.
What's it been? 30 30 years
Yeah, well,
since
Blade,
the release.
Blade Runner, or
Yeah.
it was 1982.
So
Yeah,
82 to
it's been
2012, it's been
30 years.
30 years.
It's been 30 years.
Yeah.
To this year, it's been 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I was thinking about that earlier. It's like last time I heard of a movie with like that large of a gap between the original and sequels, probably like the Avengers, the Rescuers and the Rescuers Down Under, with Bob Newhart and Ava Gabor.
Hey, I know what you're talking about. Why? How many years was that?
What was it, like 20 years? One was made in the 60s, the other one was made in like the early 90s. I don't remember exactly what year the Rescuers was made, but the Rescuers Down Under was like 91, 92, I think.
I just remember the Rescuers Down Under. I think that's one that I saw.
Yeah, I remember like John Candy.
But my question is just like why not do something like for like say 30th anniversary or something?
Rather than like a sequel.
For the 25th, they did do, they re-released it on Blu-ray. They did that another.
That ultra creamy,
Yeah.
gooey, sexy
That's
thing
the-
with the yeah.
Yeah, that was like the Deckard's briefcase, and they had like blueprints and all sorts of.
Yeah, like
Oh,
several
yeah.
versions of the film. They had
Yeah.
like the one with and without the voiceovers from Harrison
Yeah.
Ford. They had the director's cut with.
Maybe you know this. I was listening to that earlier on about. Do you know if there's any type of maybe issue or animosity between Harrison Ford and Ridley Scott or anyone who worked with the original Blade Runner?
I don't know. I've never really looked into that. I mean, and I tend to like look across these things when I get bored.
I read an article.
Yeah.
I read an article. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I read it too quickly or something, or I just maybe didn't read it correctly. But I kind of got the impression from that article that one of the reasons Harrison Ford isn't involved in the film is because there was some sort of issue with someone. I don't recall who, if it was Ridley Scott or if it was someone else who I guess was involved with the original Blade Runner, had some sort of issue, and so that's why he's not involved in this
Well,
sequel.
see, now that I recall, I think I could have sworn that it could have been that I think he had to. I think it was in reference to the original or to the ending that they changed.
About Deckard being a replicant.
Yeah, I think it had to do something like that.
And if you don't know about this, tough luck.
Oh, yeah.
That was 30 years ago.
It's kind of confusing now to try and explain it very briefly, but and I'm pretty sure I think it had to do maybe something with him having to record that voiceover work.
Yeah, which was, I mean, he totally phoned it in.
Yeah, like I think, like explain to the audience a little bit,
Yeah, the original cut of the film, I don't know if they actually tested it with film audiences or not, but the original cut of the film didn't sit well with a lot of people, and which had no voiceover. So they had Harrison Ford do a very flat, monotone, voiceover, basically explaining just about every scene what was going on. And I know Ridley Scott was against it.
Yeah.
I know he was for sure. I don't know about
Voiceover? What do you mean by a voiceover?
He would like over seeing
Yeah.
the movie, he would just be narrating. I
Yeah, he was
guess.
like it was narrating
He'd
the
just be
movie.
talking.
So he added narration to the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
And so we're not talking about what's it called, commentaries or anything like that. We're actually talking about narration in the film.
Yes,
Yeah.
he was narrating.
Oh,
yeah,
Narrating.
that's what I think is a commentary.
So it was just basically like a monologue or something, inner monologue. maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an inner monologue. A lot of it, some of it probably made some good fodder for like little how they always use samples in industrial music.
Oh yeah.
It probably good fodder for that. But other than that, it was like really monotone and
Yeah, because he
it was
I
really
guess-
Or
forced.
just half-assed or
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like he felt okay. His performance was solid enough to convey, what his character was trying to, do. But the audience, of course, maybe wasn't up to snuff with, sci-fi movies. They didn't get that whole cerebral aspect of like how you have to like analyze scenes and look at them from.
And considering it's already been, I wouldn't say watered down, that's an insult to it, but really distilled from Do Android Stream of Electric Sheep, which is the book that the movie was based on.
Philip K. Dick.
That, yeah, Philip K. Dick. One of my favorite books, but I had to read it 3 times before I even understood it.
Yeah, it's
Like I was like,
Well, that's I think that's a lot of Philip K. Dick's work. It's very, you could say out there, kind of maybe even bordering on eccentric when you read Philip K.
eccentric is actually putting it mildly.
When you read Philip K. Dick's works, it's like,
Yeah.
I think you do have to read them 2 or 3 times.
I mean, supposedly, I think I've heard that this guy like thought that he had an alien running around his head or some shit like that.
Yeah, he had some crazy notions about it.
Yeah.
All the good ones did. I mean,
Absolutely.
all the good ones did.
And well, moving on. Also, there's gonna be a sequel to Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. I like the first Sin City, but I'm like, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing this one. I mean, what do you think?
I loved the first movie. I thought it was great. It had that awesome visual quality that you don't really. It just grabs you and you're like, man, I mean, you're just captivated and you just can't get, you're eating popcorn and Coke before you pee and shit yourself and you're still watching the movie because it's so good. I mean, the characters were really out there and then they had so much, good chemistry with each other and that's what I like most about it. Just the story, the visual style was great, and the other.
It was it was. I guess like for me, I didn't have as much of an impact because like I didn't see it until it was actually out on DVD.
Oh,
So I was like,
I only saw parts of it.
Parts of it?
You only saw parts of it? Yeah. It was a good movie. It was another one that had a good comic book flow to it because I don't know if you all ever saw Frank Miller's.
Yeah.
Sin City. And the thing is that the first movie they're calling the sequel A Dame to Kill For, but basically A Dame to Kill For has already been done in the first Sin City. The first Sin City actually had most of the comic books in it. Like it had Yellow Bastard was in it. Yellow Bastard, of course, dealt with the other guy.
Yeah, because this one was the first one was basically a bunch of vignettes strung together.
Well, that's basically what the comic book was. It was, I believe, it was like six issues, and each one had its own title.
But from what I understand, I guess like this one's gonna be like its own standalone story or something, or is it gonna be?
It's not part of the comic?
No. It'll follow the comic, but the thing is, like, remember, like the first Sin City, like I said, it had like it was like.
I guess you could take snippets.
Yeah. Snippets
of what each issue was. I guess the main storyline of what.
And then they strung,
was.
strung it together into its own cohesive story. But this one, I'm not sure if it's gonna do that or is it going to, be an entirely, standalone type of thing.
I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't heard much about the sequel yet. I just know that several of the characters are going to be coming back.
Rosario Dawson is like the first thing that came to mind.
Rosario Dawson is going to be one. Gail.
Gail.
Marv, which was Mickey Rourke, is going to be returning. So is Jessica Alba for all those Alba lovers out there. Playing Nancy, she's going to be returning also for the sequel. And also confirmed, I believe, is Michael Madsen, who's going to be playing a character named Bob. He's also going to be appearing in the sequel. And it's going to be shot in 3D, so be prepared to, have the movie shown in 3D.
I'm surprised they probably haven't even tried, they haven't tried to like, well, I guess it's been a while, like, to convert the original, because like, since it was shot mostly in blue screen, I mean, I would imagine it's like easier to convert, but
I think the visual style is play really good. I mean, that's what makes it a very eye-popping, and then because stuff that's just not trying to be traditionally, it's not just gonna be like just that realistic film look. It's gonna have a lot of flashy colors, and then the very crazy tripped out backgrounds, and then.
And that's the way the comic book was. That's where I was getting at with the comic book flow in that film also, because the Frank Miller series was drawn like that. It was drawn in black and white, but it had some color.
It's basically like they were using the comic book itself as the storyboard.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that was interesting. It was an interesting way of making the film, and I liked it. I know they tried it with another one. It's
The Spirit.
The Spirit.
Yeah, yeah.
But that one
I
is.
still haven't seen that from all of that.
I heard it was critically panned.
And I can see why. It was okay, but I don't know.
I believe that one was actually directed by Frank Miller,
It
if
was
I'm
kind
not
of,
mistaken.
kind of boring.
Mm. Yeah, and it was actually based on an older comic book. I remember reading this like a while back,
Yeah.
from 1930s or 40s. So like the film noir thing kind of like just fitted perfectly. I'm not sure if it was a script or what. I mean, I'm assuming that probably had something to do with it. But
So it's something
Yeah.
we're looking forward to. Another good film. I mean,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, if they can repeat the success of the first one,
Yeah.
you know, story-wise, acting, cinematography, I mean, yeah, it'll be spot on. It'll be good.
Jessica Alba pole dancing. Sorry, got the drool on my face. Fappy, happy, slappy. Well then, moving on to games, and whatever ending happens to be drawing. Well, I didn't say, I won't say that I saw this coming, well maybe. So the big news is Diablo 3 has been released. Or, well, if you want to call it that. There was a huge problem, I think, for the first 2 days of its release. The first boss of the game was actually quite challenging. It was called Error 37.
Not a good thing.
Yeah, it's not.
Server's busy. Server's busy.
Server busy. And the thing is, I remember when I played the open beta, I was under the impression that, they have WoW. WoW's the biggest MMO in the world. They'll probably have this hammered out by the time that the game gets released. Wow. And then I had to remove my foot from my mouth. It tasted like Parmesan. But
with a hint of bird shit, maybe.
That's, well, yeah.
With a side of bird shit.
Yeah, I was like, well, considering, I mean, I'm more than sure a good chunk of these people are just trying to play single player. And I believe, I don't think that the bazaar or whatever, like the marketplace.
Yeah.
The marketplace
auction house
has not opened up yet.
No, it's
Yeah.
indefinitely postponed, I guess you could say.
Bravo, Blizzard. Bravo.
I'm still trying to download the damn thing.
That's right. King Roland's actually trying to freaking download the game right now. Last we checked, it was at 0%.
0%.
I got here like at what? I got here around 7:30ish.
Yeah, 7:30ish around there.
And how long have you been downloading it?
Probably about 40 minutes.
40 minutes, and it was still at 0%.
0%.
If we check now, I wouldn't surprise me if it was at 0%. Although you could probably, it's a safe bet though. Like when I was downloading it took me like 6 hours, I think.
But even then, I mean, the servers are still, I mean, it's the first weekend of its release, so
Yeah.
they're still getting gangbanged with,
I just imagined Diablo getting gangbanged by like a bunch of like figure on it. No, like the little ones that were on top of each other, little midget ones,
Oh, okay.
like the Stygian dolls and all that, like those. Ew. That's nasty. No, but seriously.
Yeah. Seriously. Can you get a close up of this at all? You know, I don't know if we can get a close up of this. 0%. It's still at 0%. What is that?
By tomorrow morning, it'll be like at 1%.
At 1%, you know, it's like 0%.
I was thinking like maybe if you restart it or something, it'll kick in.
So you want me to restart it and then restart the download all over again?
No, it doesn't.
Okay,
It actually picks up where it left off.
Okay, maybe you're in a download queue, maybe, or is there a download?
It doesn't
It
show me anything.
didn't say it didn't have a download queue.
Okay. Just checking out.
I don't get it. 0%. I've been downloading this thing for what? Well, I mean, what? I don't know.
4 hours
Is it?
now, I know.
Almost 3 hours.
It's 0%.
Maybe it takes a day to finish 1%.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean,
That's why
It's
I'm.
gonna take me 100 days.
Yeah.
yeah. So, and then people are also having issues. I heard with the achievements in the game that
That's right. A lot of achievements are like being.
they're not.
Yeah.
They either show up and then they log in again and it's removed, or they're just not showing up at all. But apparently their servers are also getting,
Yeah.
overwhelmed, and I mean.
And all this stupid bullshit. And the thing is, if I had to go by the game alone, like I said, oh god, it's awesome.
Digital crack.
Yeah, it is. But with all this bullshit that like Blizzard's been doing, I mean that's why. Well, one, there's ACON coming up, so like any if I find like a freaking penny, it's like, oh, ACON.
But you're thinking about picking up the regular edition or the collector's edition, or you're just going all digital?
I don't know. I'll probably pick it up in store, seeing that King Roland's having trouble just downloading the freaking
Well, I mean,
True.
don't you still have to download a whole bunch of other files?
patches
along
and
with it?
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me, but it'll still go faster.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, that's exactly what it did when I first started downloading. It started downloading updates.
Oh, shit.
So
Yeah, it's like
first then the game.
yeah, no, right? No, it told me when I first ran the installer, it was telling me that was
Yeah.
checking for updates, so it started downloading updates, and then it started downloading the game itself. And I was like, okay.
yeah,
Not a
it's
good sign.
screwy. Let's move on to something hopefully a little bit better. Vlad's been playing Rage from id Software. I know you're not done yet, but hopefully you could give us a good impression considering. I mean, id's given us some of the best title. I mean, they gave us the first FPS. They gave it Wolfenstein 3D, Wolfenstein 3D, Doom, Quake, my personal favorite.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with Quake.
And recently I've heard rumors that they might actually go back to its Cthulhian roots for Quake. If you're not familiar with Call of Cthulhu, look that up. But take it away, Vlad.
Well, I'll keep it brief. I don't want to go.
By
on
brief,
and on,
he
yeah.
means 5 hours.
Well, I mean,
Instead of 10.
everyone's familiar with id Software's games. They always want to make games that push the envelope. In terms of graphics, in terms of presentation, in terms of overall technology. They want to make something that just looks far ahead of everything else. And what they did is they have a new engine for this. The id Tech 5 engine. And the id Tech 5 engine, it's a really expansive, crazy, million polygon pusher type of graphical engine that everything looks so good, so crisp, really good character detail, and
So it can make some nipples look really nice.
well, yeah. I mean, it just looks really good. I mean,
Huge
and I'm-
nipples or little nipples?
Thinking both.
I-
Or like
like-
areolas, or like maybe like not shape, but like the nipple itself is
Like,
got like
but that big, maybe popping out like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Like that? We just kind of give them a little definition.
trying to wander off now.
But this is important.
It is important.
Well, I mean that's the thing. I mean,
How is there boob jiggling physics? I
well,
mean,
there are some really good physics.
Is that like John Lee?
I've
boob
encountered some
jiggling, or?
female characters, but I haven't gotten into.
oh, so it's a
doing
sausage
anything.
fest.
Well, maybe like 5 women so far have appeared in the game.
And are they jiggly?
No, they're just kind of like leaning against the wall, kind of like chilling.
No.
They don't offer much
Arms
conversation.
crossed and
Yeah, they're just kind of just.
Have you played the game?
yeah.
Oh, you already played the game? And no jiggly? No jiggly?
I mean, there's some beautiful chicks there, but they're.
But no jigglies? What's the point of getting a game then?
Well, if it was a fighting game, then I would understand, but it's not a.
That's what I was saying, man. Is it like Chun-Li jigglies or no? No, not
They're
really.
alive jiggly?
We're talking strictly nice, full B cup, I would say. Nothing.
Yes, we got him to go off on that.
Yeah, well, I'll just go into just saying that. So, just
Digital
graphically,
B-cups.
That's a
it
good
looks-
name for a band.
I know, right? Digital B-cups. Nice.
Oh, okay.
Performing today is a digital B-cups.
Digital B cups. Yeah. So yeah, I'll just go into just saying that, so overall the graphics just way good because in my opinion they shouldn't look as good as they do because the PS3 it's already going like 5 years old already, and you know it's able to like run, you know, the id Tech 5 engine at, I would say maybe like 80% level, because it just looks good. The frame rate is rock solid, 60 frames per second, and it just moves and looks so realistic with not just you know, where not just the environments but the enemies themselves. They have really good animations where at first the enemies start off being very calm and very, you know, kind of, well, then again, they're the first enemies you encounter are just mutants, so they're just kind of just throwing stuff at you in bats, and then when you encounter armored soldiers a little later, they have like a lot of really good tactics. They use a lot of squad tactics against you, and they're a lot more smart in how they fight against you, and they're not just blindly, you know, moving up and down, and you know, they try and corner you, and they try and you know, flank you out, and it's so that's the gunplay of it is just really good. You know, I mean, you also have tons of different weapons to choose from. You can also customize them. You can also use these little things called the wing sticks that are like, I remember the movie Krill, that spike.
Oh,
you can throw a bunch of those, and you know, they're silent, so you can just decapitate enemies like crazy and kill them if you don't want to use, because you can play the game also, of course, you know, stealthily or, you know,
Guns blazing.
Guns blazing. I mean, you know, it doesn't penalize you either way.
How did you play it?
Guns blazing.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Guns blazing.
I prefer guns blazing.
So how did you play it?
I'll play a little bit of mix of both. It depends on because a lot of times, yeah, you can play stealth when a lot of times you will get, you know, swarmed with a whole bunch of enemies that are just hauling ass at you. They're, the mutants especially, the armored soldiers, they're more strategic and more, you know, they don't go as crazy because they can't jump walls and do all these crazy things like the mutants. Because the mutants, that are coming at you, they're just like they can like bash their way through the ground or through windows or through, you know, so they have more, you know, maneuverability.
Find any Easter eggs?
Yeah, there's a few. I don't know if I should spoil them, and you won't want to hear one.
So there's several.
Well, yeah, there's a lot. Well, so far I've encountered maybe like 4. Well, the first one you start off with.
So I guess at this point we just kind of flash the whole spoiler alert thing, right?
No,
Just
okay.
like,
Well,
on top of your head, we'll just flash spoiler alert,
I mean, it's
spoiler
another
alert,
game.
spoiler alert.
And a hand
well,
feeling of your hand.
it's already been like about a year. Well, that's October, I think. What came out? I think last October. I think.
Yeah, because we need to remind you the reason he's late on some of these games. He's got a stack taller than me.
Well, I mean, I thought
Or short, I don't know, and I'm not that tall.
I'm
I'm not tall at all. I'm like 5'2".
Well, no, I'll just say one little Easter egg is like when you go into a building and you go into a kitchen and there's a box of snack cakes, and they're called Pinkies, and it has a little.
Oh, Pinky Demons.
Yeah, it has the little demon from the first Doom, the pink one. I don't remember the one that kind of walked
Yeah.
pretty
No,
fast.
I was trying to bait you into like accidentally spilling the big one.
Well,
Good job on yeah.
That's better not saying that. But no, like little things like that, and then when you click on the item, because you can get that item that's there, it plays like the sound effect of that, you know, creature, the Pinky Demon. So it's just like one small little Easter egg, but there's a whole bunch, and there's other things that are like, you know, just giving you little memories from the old days. But I was just gonna say, so. I mean, just briefly, the story is just like a meteorite's going to crash on Earth. It's going to kill us all. So they put a few people into some ark, and they bury it in the ground. And then 100 years later, you wake up. Something malfunctions that wakes you up out of your cryogenic sleep, and that's what.
Yeah,
starts
that's
the adventure.
totally a software type of thing.
And that's what starts the adventure. You're thrust out into a world 100 years later from when you were awake, and you don't know what's going on, and there's all these mutants coming at you and all sorts of crazy.
Thrust.
Well, not pelvic.
But that drives you
What other type of thrust is there?
Yeah. And so that's what starts you off into the adventure. You run into a few towns, a few settlements where people have kind of started anew because of that meteorite crashing. There's apparently some type of mutation and experiments that are going on by another. It's called the Authority. They're another part of the story that I still haven't 100% because I'm completely beat the game. I'm maybe like 2/3 through it, so the story's already progressed to like you're already part of a resistance that's trying to stop that, you know, from going on, whatever went on. And so I mean, yeah, I mean it's a really fast action-packed game that it starts off a little bit slow in that sense where you start. Oh, I forgot to say also, you traverse you traverse through these little buggies, kind of like you play Motorstorm.
Dune buggy.
The Dune buggy.
Yeah.
Sand buggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can customize it and race it and get points and buy stuff for it. Kind of upgrade it, buy better armor, buy more stuff.
Is it like a nasty, rickety little thing like the one in Half-Life 2?
It starts off kind of crappy, but then you customize that, and then you go to another town, and that town allows you to buy one, and then to get another one built, and then you upgrade that a lot more, so you're able to have a better. And that's how you traverse the area. In that.
So it also serves a purpose in the main part of the game.
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, you get around like that, but also within that, in this other town, you can race and participate in races where you can also get more money, to better your.
More money.
Yeah, to get more stuff for your vehicle, and also to get buy weapons for you. You can buy like rockets, and so it kind of feels a little bit like Mario Kart in a way, because I know. A lot of the developers themselves said they had a lot of influence from Mario Kart because they've always played that game. And it's fun because I had a lot of trouble with the right trigger because that's why I bought those
Oh, the little the trigger.
yeah, the
arrows
left
and
trigger clips, because on the PlayStation 3 controller when you're the L2 and R2, the bottom ones, when you grip them, they kind of like slip.
Yeah.
I bought these grips that it contours and it makes like a U, so like these fingers, they just lock.
That's some crazy sex toy there.
What's awesome is like it's because when you're playing this game and you're racing and you're encountering all these enemies, you're just you're crazy, you're going crazy, and because these fingers keep slipping so much, it gets on your nerves because that's the throttle and that's the brake.
Well, I mean, you gotta admit that PlayStation controller sucks.
No, well,
it does. It's a small controller. It's not made.
It's not as small as you think.
No, it's a good controller.
Small.
It's just the design on the buttons.
Like what platform are you playing on?
PS3.
PS3. What was what was your?
What platform?
Yeah, I played on the PS3. It's a solid game. I mean, I didn't play it completely off because I kind of don't have time to play anymore. But it's a solid game. It's a lot of fun. It's action packed.
But the controller sucks.
No, the controllers don't suck. The controller doesn't suck.
Sucks.
So I take it you didn't have as much of a problem as.
Well,
No, I didn't.
Well, it's because I have a problem only because maybe the way I grip it is maybe a little bit different, but because when you're using
let me ask you this. If you were to pick the PS controller, and I'm going to say PS because it was a PS1, PS2,
It hasn't
and
changed.
PS3 has not changed whatsoever. But if you were to compare it to the Xbox 360, or the Dreamcast, or even the Sega Saturn controller, how would it hold up?
And 64 is the best
Well,
it's ever been.
I'm always gonna be. I'll support the. Okay, but we're talking strictly analogs or just the D-pad. Just so I know.
The complete controller, everything, overall.
Like, what's my favorite controller?
What would be a better one?
Well, I'm still gonna go with.
As a gamer's controller, what would be a better one?
Oh, I have it over here. This is the best controller that there's ever been for any game.
Oh no, he's gonna pull out a keyboard, isn't he?
This is the best controller.
Oh no.
Hell
no.
yeah.
No, that is no.
Keyboard and mouse.
No.
Well, I can't really say I have a favorite, but I mean I've never really had complaints about the controllers, but it's just more of a fact that.
Best one, Dreamcast, I say.
Well, no, the Dreamcast was good.
And 64.
The Dreamcast was good, but the Sega Saturn analog pad was better because that was the one that came out. That was the one that the Dreamcast controller was modeled after. And that one is the one that has a very smooth analog in a way where it has it like built into the controller, where it rotates in a way where it has like that. It can just get like a mouse ball.
Yeah.
It has that same kind of feel of a mouse ball in that it perfectly rotates and you don't feel stress on the thumb.
So you still
at all.
prefer mouse balls, basically, is what you're saying.
Or mice ball.
Those are little tiny, don't you think?
No. Well,
You're like this.
Oh my God. No, I'm saying like it feels like that.
But compared, if you compare them, how does that PlayStation controller hold up?
No. I'm only saying the L2 and the R2 is the only issue I have with it because of the fact that when you click those buttons down,
You're dancing around the question.
I mean, I'm trying to explain. When you click those down, after holding it, it just.
No, my ears popping. What?
In my opinion, I don't think it's a very gamer friendly controller.
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I've played it. It doesn't change. The controls never change.
I've never liked it for FPS games, so
I've never liked it. Period. I've just always had an issue with it.
I've never liked
Maybe you have
anything.
bulky hands.
Maybe I do. They're fat fingers, you know. It's like I gotta have something bulky, something nice.
Like the original Xbox controller.
There you go.
That was a piece of shit, man.
That
the original Xbox controller? Like a fucking jelly donut, man.
Jelly
It was
donuts?
just like,
Don't you like jelly donuts?
but it was just like, I don't know, man. It just felt like shit.
You could
donut,
grip
man.
it. You could like grip it nicely and hold it, and
I don't
all
know.
the
I
buttons
guess-
where it fingers reach.
Well,
How hard are you pressing the damn button that you need to take a big control?
It's not that. It's how hard am
Are
I
you
pressing it?
Are you talking about a sex toy or a controller?
Okay, we're talking
Maybe
about the
it's
fat
both,
Xbox
yeah.
controller, right?
It does
that was
vibrate.
hideous, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Like I would hold it and I was like this.
Like, what is this?
And
Well,
what
my hands are big, man. That's why I'm holding it. I'm like,
It's not like you're holding the
fuck?
Sega Game Gear. It's a controller. It was nicely nicely done.
Every youngins,
I don't.
look up what a second game gear is.
I got one in the closet that I can
No.
bust it out right now.
Go for it. So you can
It's
see
about
how-
the size
so-
of this
so you
table.
can see how big it is.
With TV tuner.
It was about the size of this
I
table,
had the TV tuner, man. I got it for cheap.
and that was considered portable back then.
Um,
You notice a few things has changed. A melee ensued after the whole, issue with
The controller.
controllers.
who's bigger? Whose is bigger? Right?
Who's
See
is
whose is bigger.
Xbox controller versus what, Chris?
PS3.
I mean, hell, even I don't know if that'll make it, but I mean, the keyboard and mouse all the way. But anyways,
Yeah, I mean,
wrapping things up.
yeah, I'll just wrap things up by saying, I mean, it's a really great experience. The game has a great graphic look in a way where it makes you feel like the Earth is just, a barren wasteland. It's very post-apocalyptic, and
Like the parking lot.
well, yeah, and you get into a few environments where you explore underground areas, sewers. There's a few side quests, maybe like around 20 side quests. Not too many, but it's not like it's a Fallout game or
Final
Elder
Fantasy
Scrolls or a Final
12.
Fantasy. Yeah, it's just got a good amount of side quests, and yeah, I mean that's basically I mean I haven't completely finished the game, so I'll just say that it's so far. It's a game worth playing if you like first-person shooter games, if you like action games. It's a combination, I guess you could say, of a little bit of Half-Life, a little bit of Quake, and a little bit of Doom. You throw all those three in a blender, and this is the kind of game it is.
So it blends.
It borrows elements from those games, but it still has a very good identity of its own.
Let's throw all those games together in a blender and see what happens for
Yeah,
you.
you could say that.
Oh,
What was
That's
a
cheap.
troll? Was that a troll or what was that?
that's cheap. That's cheap.
Talk is cheap. So yeah, I guess we want to move on to another topic.
Yeah, before we kill each other over, which controller scheme
Oh, which
is-
controller is the best one?
Yeah, I mean,
controller's bigger.
keyboard and mouse all the way. But anyways,
was mine bigger.
yeah, yours goes from A to Z on a keyboard. So anyway, I got something here about Microsoft killing Xbox. That's all you're doing. What do you mean by that?
Not necessarily killing it. I just don't know the direction Microsoft wants to take on the Xbox. Because apparently it's adding the IE9 web browser to it. And that's just not a right move for it. It's not that kind of a game system.
Well, I think what they're gonna do with the Xbox is basically, in my opinion, and again this is just my opinion. Don't kill me for it.
No, there's better
But
things to kill.
I think they're just turning it into what they originally intended it to be, and that's a computer inside of a home acting as a console.
Exactly.
Because that's where it's headed.
In other words, it's like this whole. In other words, like a big, full-on entertainment type of thing.
That's what you get with the Kinect.
Well, yeah.
But-
I mean, I wouldn't doubt if later on they'll start bringing out peripherals that you can add a keyboard and a mouse to it.
You can already add a keyboard and a mouse
Yeah.
to it.
Well, there you go.
Well, I mean, I think that's the direction that they want
That's
to
true.
just
A
keep.
USB keyboard. A USB
Yeah.
mouse, right? That's true.
I think that's the direction they want to keep going because a
Did
lot.
Final Fantasy 11 come out for it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Keyboard and mouse right
Yeah.
there.
Well, I think the direction they want to take it in is more of wanting to just have more of a mass audience playing their games because the PlayStation 3, little by little, they're not really marketing themselves that way. They're just trying to target the core gamers more than anything. So that audience already loves them for it. But Microsoft is trying to get everybody, with the Kinect, for example, with the Kinect. Now in Skyrim, what are they going to do? The shouts.
I don't know.
You can actually
I bet
shout
they
for
all
Skyrim
been
games. That's-
to some extent trying to cater to other
Wait.
audiences. I mean, with all the the move and control type of
Yeah.
thing. I mean, it started with the Wii, obviously,
Yeah.
Microsoft is-
Mhm.
and then everybody else jumped on the bandwagon. So I mean, I can only assume that they're trying to court those old ladies.
I mean, it's a good concept. It's a good concept for first-person shooters where you can actually control your sight.
Yeah, and you
Okay.
can also control. I think Mass Effect 3 it allows you to have using the Kinect
Well,
voice
that-
support.
yeah.
You can like tell your command,
No,
do
but-
this, do that, do that.
No, but
Instead
that
of telling
aside,
it-
I
instead
mean,
of
do
doing
you
it on a
think?
controller.
So
Well,
voice command.
Voice
yeah.
commands,
No, but back on topic. I mean, do you think that maybe the reason that they're trying to do that is that they're just basically trying to be like a be all end all like entertainment
Yeah,
type of
that's,
deal?
Well, of course.
That's
I
what
mean,
I was
it-
saying. Like they're trying to incorporate a lot of those things in order
I
to
mean, it
like,
wouldn't.
garner
yeah.
more
Well,
attention.
isn't that the direction that Sony was taking when they did the PS2 to begin with? That's why they wanted one whole entertainment system. That's why they
Yeah.
put the DVD along with the game
I mean, but
system.
honestly,
But that,
So-
I mean, that thing was like an aborted fetus, at least. the
Okay,
way-
what are you all talking about now? Hold that thought, Chris. Where did you all go?
I was just comparing.
You're
the-
aborted.
Yeah.
I was comparing
The
the
hell?
fact that Microsoft is right now trying to make the whole Xbox into basically a whole computer entertainment system, right?
Okay.
And I brought up the fact that Sony was also trying to do the same thing with their PS2 system and now their PS3 system,
Well,
where they're getting an entertainment system and they're pulling it into one thing rather than having Sony makes Blu-rays and Sony makes DVD players. But now they want to appeal to not just the gamers, but the gamers who love movies and the people who like movies and games, and they put it into one system. Well, Microsoft is now trying to do the same thing, and they're trying to pull everything together into the Xbox.
Well, to be honest with you, the
But none of it
PlayStation
really-
3 has a web browser,
Yeah.
but it's a crappy browser. I mean,
Oh, yeah, it's not so
honestly,
great.
I don't even use that one. I don't even use the browser.
Why would you want to?
Yeah.
I mean, you got like
Exactly.
a full keyboard. I got this thing right here. It's like-
I mean, a browser and a game system is just plain useless.
Yeah.
There's no need
Well,
for it.
yeah, it is.
Because they're sluggish. It takes forever. It's kind of like
Yeah, I noticed
by the
that.
time
that-
something loads on the you do it on your PC and it's already done.
Well, I mean, they didn't learn from what Dreamcast.
Well, Dreamcast, yeah, the Dreamcast browser was, well, I mean,
I don't even remember that.
it was okay for its time, but they had already, Dreamcast wasn't actually the first, they had already done that with the Sega Saturn, because the Sega Saturn had a net link that allowed you to play online gaming also.
Hmm.
But you
Okay,
also got to
get
remember,
that.
like, Sega has done so much stuff way before everyone. It's just the fact that since they always spend so much money trying to pioneer, the technology and have it in their systems, they didn't have the advertising dollars left over because, that was always my beef. I'll say it again.
Beef!
That-
We have a beef this episode!
That will always be my beef with them. The fact that they always let everyone kick them
Beef.
around because they never advertised and marketed themselves right. But because a lot of the time, the Japanese were really good at advertising
Take a shot.
and promoting their stuff in Japan, and they would sell like crazy over there. But when it came to the Sega of America's top XX just really didn't know what to do. They didn't give a crap. They weren't really like, a lot of them were new to like promoting video game systems and to the video game.
They're basically new to the industry.
Yeah, new to the industry where it's like, and a lot of those things just totally gave Sega, just shooting themselves in the foot for even trying to promote stuff that they were already way ahead of everyone else, and they never, of course, the one that pioneers the technology never really gets a recognition. It's whoever markets and whoever makes their name known for it, and that's what sucks.
But even if they do market it, even if Microsoft markets it right, that they're going to be putting IE9 into the Xboxes. I mean,
What's the use?
I mean, yeah, you're right.
At
What's
this
the
point, there
use?
is no
I
use.
wouldn't use it. I mean, the first thing I don't think of when I turn on my system is, let me get on the internet, let me check my Facebook, or let me do this. I'm not gonna be doing any type of searching on my console.
And if you're
That's
gonna
not what
be
I
doing
want
that,
my
you might as
console
well
for.
add like some sort of
Well,
dedicated thing for that.
I'm thinking it's more of an advertising promotional kind of thing where it's like maybe they're gonna have their own type of version of the browser that's
I
gonna
have seen.
startup things customized where it's like
That's probably all it is.
any little things that show up, they're advertising their games.
That
their
is prob-
deals.
yeah.
They're,
Don't they do that already?
well, no, that's what I'm saying. That's just on the. Well, what I'm saying that's already on the Xbox Live. What do you call it? The status of the dashboard.
Yeah, the
But what I'm
dashboard.
saying is, when you have another part of your system that's just constantly reminding you to buy stuff, to download stuff, to.
But
that's what I'm saying.
doesn't that annoy the
It
shit
does
out of
annoy.
people?
It does
It's
annoy,
like-
but you gotta remember, it does annoy, but it does sell. It does sell to people that aren't like us, where we just see the big picture really quick. Other people are like, oh shit, that's true. I mean, I was at the dashboard, I didn't buy it. Okay, it's telling me again. Ah, screw this, I'll just go buy it. And a lot of people, are like that. They love to be, told what to do, and sure enough, if they themselves, maybe they already could have done, testings, within their, what do you call it, their division, what do you call them, surveys,
I mean,
polls, or
yeah,
whatever.
I get enough advertisements from everything gaming that I watch. I mean, any gaming magazine,
Okay,
any
I've
gaming
had-
show, anything like that. There's enough
There's
advertisement
even
on
advertising
there.
in games.
Yeah, there's even advertisement in games. It's like, I mean,
Yeah.
come on, that's just way too much advertising.
It is.
And I think
but-
they're just gonna, throw it in people's faces so much to the point where it's like, you know what, I'm tired of it. I don't want to.
So basically, IE9 may just be another way for them to advertise
Yeah,
shit
sure.
to you.
Yeah,
No,
that's what I was.
No,
that's my
because
theory.
I have known that I have seen that left and right. I've seen like on the rare occasion I watch TV. I think I was watching The Big Bang Theory last week, or I don't know. IE9. And I was like, wait a minute, did I just see a commercial for specifically for IE9 on TV?
Yeah, I saw it too. I saw that commercial.
Like,
Yeah, and it's just, I just think it's just gonna continue to go down that path because it's all about the dollar signs for them. It's all about the profit. So
What kind of commercial can you have for IE9?
I don't remember, and it had like some pop music.
simple as that.
Yeah.
But I mean, can.
It had like
I haven't
some.
seen it, I don't
It's
know.
free, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's like, why would you spend advertising dollars on something that is,
Because the IE is not used a lot.
That's true. Well, I
well, that's
sure
because
don't
it
talk shit.
sucks. It's a web developer's nightmare.
True.
It is. IE is a web developer's nightmare. But that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
That's why they
That's
say,
true.
what is IE good for? Download a better browser.
Yes, that is true.
I mean, it's all right, but at the same time, it's like it reminds me so much of Apple. How Apple, is so proprietary, or was, very proprietary to where it's like
I say it is.
only Apple things work on Apple, and they wanted to do a lot of things out on their own. And IE is basically the same thing because their browser engine is basically Microsoft's version of their browser engine, and it's gonna read certain, say CSS files or the JavaScript files. It's gonna read them differently.
They don't adhere to standards.
Exactly. So they have their own basic standard of how they're going to be reading these type of files, and it's like, why are you going to do that? Why can't you just adhere to the standards? And if you would, people would develop for it, and people would use it.
This is probably the wildest tangent we've ever been on.
How do we get up on it now?
I
It's
don't
Internet
know.
Explorer.
I don't know. Because it's IE and, you know.
It's always good to hate IE.
Yeah, long story short, like IE on the Xbox.
Long story short, Microsoft keeps fucking up the Xbox, it's gonna kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
If it starts putting in a bunch of needless things in there, I mean, I'm not gonna want it. I mean, as it is, there's a lot of needless things in there that I just don't use. You know, so what's the point?
Oh, and actually now that, well, no, I do have like another thing, because I actually tried, I tried the Windows 8 beta, call it whatever you want, consumer preview, whatever. I tried it, and they were trying to fully integrate Xbox crap into, yes.
Damn.
They were trying to incorporate Xbox Live crap into Windows 8.
Yeah, what I heard is that they want to make the Windows 8 more like the dashboard.
Well, yeah, it's called the Metro UI, and it's basically like if you've seen a Windows Phone 7 phone,
With the squarish kind of look.
yeah, basically it's the same thing in terms of the interface.
Wow, that doesn't look very intuitive.
It's no, I mean I tried it and I'm like, no way. I am sticking to Linux on this one, and wanting to run games, but well, you know.
So, anything else we gotta talk about this week? Wrap it up.
Any, I don't think anybody has anything crazy to talk about.
Crazy
And I know that Autumn Sky is not.
Available?
She's not available right now. I mean, we do have our audience. We do have audience, so no. All right, so I guess that's a no from our audience. Although we'd like to thank E-Man for the booze. Awesome. Toast. And
You get enough for being a PS3 hater.
yeah. Well, in closing, I'm Rudy,
Keep rolling.
Sergeant Fuzzy Boots.
Shin Blood.
and we've been trolling an asshole this week. So later.
I can blame it wasn't to you, man.
I
could tell, man. I can tell that was into you, man. Since day one, man. What do you
Holy shit, what the
dirty
hell?
style?
I hope this will be like at the end as an extra.
I'm gonna be there.
Lad, teabag me. Oh, that's nice.
I need the coffee back.